Hi travel buddies, let me introduce myself. I'm Arya from English A Tour and Travel Business 2021. Finally, after nearly 2 years of global pandemic, every government in many countries began to reopen tourism sectors. So traveling abroad will be easier than before. If you want to travel and visit another country, especially New Zealand, you have to prepare for certain requirements. As we know, New Zealand is one of the tourist destinations that must be visited because this country has many beautiful scenery, diverse wildlife, and is a safe country. Aside from that, New Zealand is well known for its educational system. Can you imagine how exciting and fun it would be to visit New Zealand? You all need to start to find out about New Zealand as soon as possible. Will you travel there this year? I just want to tell you that in this video, I will tell you about the most important things that you have to prepare before going to New Zealand. The important things are travel documents, immigration and custom regulations, cabin and baggage information. Here are some travel documents that you need to prepare. Curious? Yo travelers, first things first, check to make sure your passport and visa are still valid. Make sure the validity period, particularly for passport, is in conformity with the terms and conditions set out above and is still valid at least 3 months after the date you leave. You all need to clarify the duration and purpose of your visit, especially for visas. And the second one, make sure that you has taken care of the visitor visa and the New Zealand Electronic Travel Authority, aka NZTA. You also need a delegation letter. It should be obvious what is our reason to come to New Zealand. And this can be proven if you are not on the prohibited list for entering New Zealand. And the third one, make sure that you has travel insurance that covers risk mitigation for the COVID-19 infection, including medical care, and the last is travel delay. Travelers and crew do not need proof of COVID-19 vaccination to enter New Zealand. New Zealand's COVID-19 entry requirements were removed on October 20, 2022. Please check with your airline or cruise provider as they may still require proof of vaccination. If you have COVID-19 symptoms when you arrive in New Zealand by air or by sea, I encourage you to take a rapid antigen test RAT. You can get free RATs at the airport. And the fourth one, you should make a bank account because we need to pay for currency restriction for entry. A border cash report is required for New Zealand dollars. It is about $10,000 or more in cash or foreign equivalent. But you don't need any cash to leave New Zealand. And remember to obey any applicable health regulation such as wearing a mask in public places and enclosed areas. And last but not least, there is a transportation ticket. How can you go to New Zealand without a transportation ticket? Absolutely, you need this ticket too, whether it's air or water transportation. You can choose between cruise and airplane. Anyway, from Thursday, October 20, 2022, you no longer need to complete New Zealand Travel Declaration or NZTD to enter New Zealand. What happens to New Zealand Travel Declaration now? Travelers will still need to complete the passenger arrival card, which is handed out on board your flight to New Zealand. The New Zealand Traveller Declaration will be reintroduced in the middle of 2023 and will replace the paper passenger arrival card. And the next is about immigration regulations. You don't need a visa to visit New Zealand if you are a citizen or resident of New Zealand and Australia, and then a British citizen and or passport holder. At this point, you can stay up to 6 months. And the last is citizen of countries that have with New Zealand. This part is not far from our last topic. The immigration regulations contain the comprehensiveness of travel documents. I will discuss 3 aspects of immigration: the visa application process, immigration instruction for tourists, and the last is immigration law for tourists. First, visa application process in immigration. It contains information about how the visa is applied because New Zealand has their own electronic visa. All of the visa things are a little bit complicated. You should make sure if your visa is still valid, and if you don't have a visa, you should make the visa in your nearest New Zealand immigration. If you want to make NZTA, you should know how much visa application costs and when to pay, how long it takes to process the visa, how to prevent delay with your application, how the immigrant authorities process your application, the immigrant authorities maintaining the lawful status, and how you can returning your passport urgently. You need to do that if you want to get the electronic visa for New Zealand. 2. Immigration instruction. It sets out the rules and criteria that people who want to come to New Zealand must meet to be granted a visa or the entry permission. It is about the rules and criteria that people must meet to be granted a visa. So, the visitor needs to fulfill all the requirements to get the New Zealand. And then, the visitor should show the evidence that they are appropriate to get the visa. The evidence is self-identifying documents such as ID card, passport, birthday certificate, family card, and bank account. 3. Tourist immigration law. Immigration laws in New Zealand provide a framework for foreigners to manage immigration in a way that balances New Zealand national interests with New Zealand international obligations, protecting both New Zealanders and migrants. And it is listed in Immigration for Visa, Entry Permission and Related Matters Regulation 2010. It includes application requirements for visas that cover residence, temporary entry, and transit. And the next is customs regulation. In this case, you should pay more attention to the items that you bring if you want to enter or leave New Zealand. The first one is a prohibited and restricted item. You can bring objectionable material content on items like DVDs, CD-ROMs, films and record, weapon, equipment for using cannabis or methamphetamine, agriculture item, animal and plant products, endangered species, children's crayon, finger paint and watercolor paint, equipment for smoking or taking drugs, human ashes, placenta, and vaporizers. And the next is the allowed item, but you should pay the charge. It is alcohol and tobacco in a certain amount and motorcycle or motor vehicle. You don't need to pay the charge if you use a motorcycle under 90 days, but if more, you need to pay the charge. And in this section, I will talk about allowed item with terms. It is jewelry, tortoise or sea turtle, meat of food from whales and dolphins, medicines, carving from marine mammals, live species, carnivorous plants, and some items are prohibited or retrieved. You may not be able to take them out from New Zealand without permission. These include Ponamo or natural greenstone. in its natural state: power meat, wildlife, antiquities, and some works of art. If you break the customs regulation, you will get punishment such as deportation, money fine, and prosecution. And the last topic is about cabin and baggage regulation. For Singapore Airlines, when you fly with these airlines, you can carry up to 2 bags into the cabin with you depending on your class of travel. In addition to the limitations stated here, you must also be able to stow your luggage securely in the overhead compartment or under the seat in front of you. Given the current COVID-19 pandemic, Singapore Airlines encourage customers to travel as lightly as possible to ensure a smooth boarding process. And for the additional item allowed on board, the passenger may carry one of these items if they are on their flight or free of charge. It's similar to a lady's handbag, camera bag, document bag, overcoat, umbrella, laptop or notebook in bag, infant amenities, and food for consumption on board. The total weight of these items should not exceed 6 kg. A walking stick, a pair of crutches, or other prosthetic device if you are dependent on them. A small amount of duty-free goods if the goods are permitted. The maximum dimension for these bags are 40, 30, and 10 cm each. If your item exceeds the total dimension of 80 cm, the length, width, and height combined, it will be counted as part of your standard cabin baggage allowance. You will then be required to check in either your cabin bag or the additional item. And for the food items, some countries have strict restrictions on the food items you can or cannot carry. If you wish to carry food items with you, I advise you to check with the relevant authorities before you fly. Okay fellas, these are about travel requirements to New Zealand. I hope it can be useful for those of you who want to travel there. See you guys. Thanks for watching.